What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. As I'm reading the news every day, I can't help but be reminded of the movie Idiocracy and how every day we get closer and closer to that becoming a reality. It's almost as if the movie Idiocracy is actually a documentary series, and maybe we should have looked at it that way back when it came out in the early 2000s, whenever that was. But guys, I'm really concerned, and I hope that you guys are paying enough attention to the news to know that things are not looking good. And of course, everything's going to be shifted. The blame is all going to be put on the Ukraine situation and the Russians. And there's obviously been an attempt to basically use cancel culture to basically cancel everything Russian, even though it doesn't really make a lot of sense to do that. It's just, it's unbelievable the stuff we're seeing right now. The propaganda, the crazy stuff that's coming out of Russia and Ukraine, and the crazy stuff that's coming out of the mouths of the people in the highest positions of power in the United States of America. It almost seems as if they're trying to get us involved in World War III directly. A hot war. So anyhow, I've been reading some of these headlines of how it's going to relate to us here in the United States and other people around the world, as far as being able to put food in your belly and keep your family fed and stuff like that. Keep gasoline in your car, and things are not looking good, guys. So I want to read a few of these headlines, and we'll talk a little bit about them as we go along. Russian war in world's breadbasket threatens food supply, and that's from the Associated Press. So obviously, they're not talking about the fact that the food prices had already surged like 20 or 30 something percent last year because of the coronavirus. They're putting all of the blame on the Russian war in the world's breadbasket. They're saying that threatens the food supply. So again, this plays into the Putin is the worst guy in the world, he's worse than Hitler, blah, blah, blah narrative that the mainstream media is pushing. Next up here, food price index hits all-time high in February, up 24% from 1 year ago, and it's going higher, and that's from the Gateway Pundit. They're a good trusted news source. You can go check out their articles there. I highly recommend the Gateway Pundit. They've been one of my favorite news sources since Drudge ended up going all the way to the left. So I used to really like the Drudge Report, but now, I mean, it's hardly even, I can hardly even look at it. It's almost all leftist propaganda on the Drudge. So I don't know what happened to Matt Drudge, or if he sold the Drudge Report to some leftists, or what happened, but it's no good, and I've replaced them with the Gateway Pundit. But yeah, food price index up 24%. I mean, that's something that we should be talking about. You know, if we don't want to have famine in our country, we should probably consider this kind of stuff. And hopefully you guys, based on some of our other videos and the things we talk about here on the channel, you're already preppers and you're already got a good stock of long-term food storage on hand, because we're probably going to be tapping into that stuff pretty soon. And it would be a good idea, you know, I'm not trying to cause anybody to go out and panic or anything, but it would be a good idea if you want to be able to afford the things you like to go out and get them now, as long as you can store them, you know, in the time frame that you're going to need before you use them. But yeah, I would seriously be stocking up right now. This is the scariest stuff I've seen in my lifetime, as far as it relates to the supply chain and the food prices and the inflation that's just off the charts. And they're acting like this is because of the war in Ukraine. It's not. It's because of Biden's policies here in the United States that the inflation is off the charts. No doubt about it. And we're not going to go into the minutia on that. You can go do your own research about it. His policies have caused this stuff to happen. Now they're going to blame it on Ukraine. How convenient is that? These people are pretty transparent once you know how to see through the code of the matrix. So here's the next article. World food prices reached record high in February with Ukraine war just starting. So there we go again. They're blaming the Ukrainian war. This next set of stories here is about gas and oil prices. This is scary because this all ties back into the food supply chain. You know, I mean, the more diesel and gasoline and oil costs per barrel, the more it costs per bushel of whatever farm product, corn or whatever you're making, the more it's going to cost the farmer to deliver that stuff and produce that stuff and deliver it to your store of choice, right? I mean, it's pretty common sense, logical stuff. As fuel prices rise, everything else that we consume is going to rise accordingly, if nothing else, just for the delivery fees associated with that. So get ready, guys. Hang on. It looks as if in my opinion, Biden and his administration are hell-bent on destroying the U.S. dollar. And we're right now, we're caught in the wake of all this stuff. And most people don't even realize what's going on. They think, oh, it's just unfortunate. Oh, it's the coronavirus. Oh, it's the Ukrainian war. No, it's freaking over-the-top communist policies being implemented at the highest level in our nation. That's what's causing this crap. Here we go. Oil crisis 2.0. U.S. gas prices jump most overnight since Iraq war. Record highs imminent. And that's from Zero Hedge. Record highs. It was $115 a barrel last time I looked. I think that was Friday. $115 a barrel. That's not exclusively because of the Ukrainian war. Now, I will admit some of that is obviously related to that, but Biden's energy policy since he came in, you know, Trump did something that I never thought I would ever see in my lifetime. He actually achieved one of his presidential talking points. He said, we're going to get us off foreign oil in the Trump administration. Well, they damn sure did. They got us off foreign oil for the first time. And, you know, in modern history anyways, I don't know when we first got on foreign oil. I don't know all the history of that. But, you know, at some point, the United States started bringing in and importing all this cheap foreign oil. And at some points, it makes sense to do that. If it's cheaper to bring it in than it is to drill it, then yes, obviously that makes sense to do that. But not to the point where you become totally dependent on that. We had the biggest oil reserves I've ever seen. And if you don't know, if you don't follow the channel, I work in the oil industry indirectly, but I talk to a lot of guys that know about these oil reserves that we have in our country and stuff like that. And I remember at the end of Trump, the reason the oil markets were basically going bust was because there was so much, they had overproduced so much that every single oil tank that we had were full to the brim. We had no more capacity. They were building tanks as fast as they could. Big enough tanks that, you know, I mean, we're talking big enough tanks that I could drive my Suburban around inside of. These things are massive. And they were building these things as soon as the welding was cooled. They were treating them and filling them up with oil. Because we had tankers sitting off the coast down in the Gulf of Mexico. They had tanker after tanker sitting there because they couldn't deliver the oil. There was no place to put it. That's how much oil we had under Donald Trump. And now we've got this clown in office that's importing all our oil, shutting off our own oil supply, not allowing us to drill on federal lands. I mean, it's just unbelievable. This guy is hell-bent on the destruction of the United States of America. If you don't see that, then you need to take the, whatever it is in your eyes, the dust out of your eyes, whatever. You need to take off your rose-colored glasses or whatever and start looking at things through the lens of reality. This guy's trying to destroy the country, no doubt about it. U.S. gas prices are rising at fastest pace ever as Russia intensifies invasion of Ukraine. And that's from the Washington Post. So there you go, guys. Just a real short one here. I wanted to get you on the edge of your seat. You should be worried about this. I'm not going to lie. I don't like to cause worry and you know, and cause people to panic or anything like that. But listen, the stuff that I'm seeing, even right here in my own state, I've seen gas prices rise to levels that I haven't seen since the Bush administration, when they had the highest gas prices for a while there during the Iraq war, and then going into Obama, it was still really high, and he kept it really high on purpose because Obama said, the guy that's pulling Biden strings behind the scene, one of them, Obama, said, under my energy plan, your energy prices will necessarily skyrocket. They want us to all pay more. They love this. These people that are in power right now that supposedly 81 million people voted for, I hope you're happy, 81 million people, if there are any of you brave enough to watch this video where I criticize your dear leader. I hope you're proud of yourself for destroying the best country in the world. You're hell-bent on destruction of this country. So guys, we're in a hell of a lot of trouble. I hope you're stocked up. I advise you, if you have nothing, go out and start investing and looking into different canned foods, different canned meats, canned vegetables, canned fruits, things like that, that you, right now, you may turn your nose up at them. But when you're starving to death in 6 months from now or less, those things will be a blessing to you and your family. And, you know, I hope that the adults will get a hold of this situation. But, you know, November's a long ways away. And, oh, Sleepy Joe or whatever, Dementia Joe, can screw up a whole bunch of stuff between now and then. It might be irreparable by the time we get to the midterms. The Marxists, the communists, the New World Order people are closing and tightening their grip on the freedom-loving, liberty-loving people like ourselves. Do what you can to prepare yourself for famine. I think that's what's coming. World War III and famine are on our horizon. Hopefully it doesn't go nuclear. I mean, unbelievable. You know, I haven't seriously thought about nuclear war since the end of the Cold War. And now all of a sudden, in just a little over a year, Biden has screwed stuff up so much that we're on the verge of real hot nuclear war again. 81 million people voted for him, they say. So I find it hard to believe that 81 million of my fellow countrymen knew what they were getting. So that means they were dumb and they didn't do the research. That's the only thing, the only saving grace that I have for them is that they must have just been fooled by all of that stuff. They must have really believed all of that communist, Marxist propaganda that the left has been spouting and spewing for the last 50 years. I don't know. But anyways, guys, go stock up because this is it. This may be the last chance to do this before the collapse of everything, which is coming. It's imminent. Eventually, this stuff's going to start falling like dominoes, and you better already be set up at that point because, there could be a point where there is no bank. There is no money anymore. When they break the system from over-printing and over-obligating us and getting us in too much debt, over $30 trillion in debt. Back in Reagan's time, they just rolled over to 1 trillion. Now we're at 31 trillion or whatever. This is unacceptable, unbelievable. They're selling our grandkids' futures out, everything. Our posterity will be broke if we let these clowns continue to destroy our country.